two theories that kind of overlapping each other. Sometimes we talk about them interchangeably, and we'll kind of dive in deeper into that into later slides. So just a little bit about what TRA is, or what both TRA and TPB are. TRA just says that first and foremost, there are two incidents that influence a person's intentions. So this is whether that's social influence through friends and family, or just personal factors, their morals and beliefs, or things like that. This is kind of universally used to explain why people act the way they do, or why people don't do certain behaviors. TPB adds another factor of how that person feels, or if that person feels like they're in control, or whether or not they want to do the given behavior. So there are actually a total of 11 constructs between the both theories. Today we're only going to discuss the 6 distal ones. We'll go deeper into that in the other slides when we're trying to answer questions. So we have behavioral beliefs, we have outcome evaluations, we have normative beliefs, we have motivation to comply, control beliefs, and the last one would be perceived power. I'll explain deeper of what each of those are as we're answering the questions later, because I don't want to make the video too long. So let's get into it. So we have a prompt here about a local corporate work site. They have about approximately 500 employees. They just want to reduce alcohol consumption among the employees, so that way they can reduce things like DUIs and other alcohol-related incidents, and as well as just increase productivity. We're going to use theory of reason, action, and planned behavior to solve these 2 prompts below. So the first one just says, what are 1 or 2 ways how you would influence each of the 6 distal constructs of TRA and TPB? For example, it says, how would you try to change their normative beliefs and their motivation to comply so that they have a stronger intent to reduce or abstain from drinking? And the second question is, once the program has been implemented, how would you adequately assess the overall success of the strategies that we came up in the previous prompts? Just in other words, like, how is it working, or how did the intervention go? So let's get into the first part, which is those educational processes, or how we would influence each of the 6 distal constructs. So for the first one, I wrote down for behavioral beliefs, which is the belief that doing the behavior will lead to a certain outcome. So to increase that want to abstain from drinking or to reduce their drinking, we're just going to talk about or brainstorm all those possible outcomes that can come from abstaining. So let's say we have one individual recently got a divorce because of his drinking. So let's talk about possible outcomes that could come from not drinking. Maybe there was kids in a divorce and the mother doesn't allow him to see them just because he's drinking. If he stops from drinking, maybe he'll be able to see his kids again. If he doesn't, he might not ever have a right relationship with his kids. Let's talk about things like it'll make him healthier, or he'll be working better at work. And if not, if he continues to drink and go down this path, he might lose his job. He's well on his way to lose his family. He might hurt himself or others. Just talk about outcomes like that of, okay, if I do this behavior, what will come of it? If I don't do this behavior, what will come of it? Excuse me. All right, for 2, we're here talking about outcome evaluations. This is the value of a person, the value of the person and what, forgive me. This is the value of a person and what each outcome, this is the value of that the person has, on each outcome, which are the results of performing the behavior. It's just that personal value of what they hold on the outcome. So here we'll specifically talk about positive outcomes. So again, we'll talk about things like, okay, if I stop drinking, I'll be able to walk my dog more, and I'll be in better health for my family. If I stop drinking, I'll work better at work. Therefore, if I work better at work, I can go for promotions, or I can ask for raises. If I stop drinking, maybe my wife won't divorce me. Just talk about positive things that'll come from doing the behavior. All right, so for the third one, we were talking about normative beliefs. This is how the person believes the significant people in their life would want them to behave. So we just want them to think about what the other people in their life would think of them if they were to do their behavior. So this is why we would go through some psychodrama. This is where they would just kind of act out past events in their life. So we'll go back to the man who's in the middle of a divorce. We'll have him kind of act out the first incident he had with his wife when he first started drinking, and he came home all sluggish and slurring his words and maybe a little aggressive, and she didn't like that. We'll have him act that out so that way he can start to realize, okay, my wife would like me to stop drinking. This is how I made her feel in this situation. Maybe I should stop drinking, or maybe I should cut it back a little bit. For the fourth one, we were talking about motivation to comply, which is pretty self-explanatory. This is just how much the person wants to act in accordance with what the significant people in their life think about them, or would think that they should do the behavior or not. This is kind of similar to normative beliefs, but this is just the person's own personal conviction. Again, we'll probably do like small group discussion, may have like a group for people who are having marital issues due to drinking, or people who are having problems with their kids, or people who are having health issues, and just go deeper into discussion of, okay, what can motivate us to, reduce it, or what factors, like what our significant others think to help us motivate us to, abstain from drinking. So for the fifth one, we are talking about control beliefs. These are just beliefs that internal and external factors may help or not help the performance. So we'll talk about incentives and reducing inhibiting behaviors and all that stuff. So maybe people drink a lot because the office parties just have a lot of alcohol. So then we'll probably cut back on the alcohol in office parties, or there's always beers in the fridge. We'll cut back on the amount of beers in the fridge, things like that. The sixth one, we are talking about perceived power. This is just the person's perception of how easy or hard it is to perform the behavior in the conditions that we identified in those control beliefs. So people may think it's hard to abstain from drinking just because literally everybody else at work everybody else at work does it. So maybe having some higher ups from the company talk about, I don't know, maybe they've had issues up with drinking, have them come in and talk about what they did to stop or to reduce them, or even having someone else, an outside person from AA, come in and talk about it. Or even just starting in smaller steps, like, okay, for this week, everybody cut down to, one beer a day, or even like 3 beers for the whole week, breaking it down so it's easier for them to digest. All right, we're getting short on time, but the second part of the question was just how we would measure how well it's working. I just had a couple ideas about monthly and weekly checkups. Just saying how your employees are doing. Hey, how's it going? We just had an office party. We didn't have any alcohol. Are you okay? Like, did you pregame, or did you just go home with no alcohol? Just doing surveys and questionnaires at those quarterly meetings. I'm sure all corporate people do it. Questionnaires about alcohol consumption, and just, again, checking up on them mentally, physically. And then also looking at productivity in certain departments. Seeing whether those implementations or interventions that we talked about in the previous slide are actually working.